Hi everyone, I'm Kendall Hoeft. I am a life coach who empowers women to live fully, fierce, and free. Thank you for tuning in today. In this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the reasons why it's so hard to even know who you are. Forget being yourself. To start, we don't even know what that self is or who our authentic self is so that we can actually be that person, who we really are, that inner child. One of the reasons is that we have based our identity for years on what others say we should be, or based on the expectations of others. So, for example, my grandma always liked short hair, so maybe I never had my full long expression because I was trying to please what she wanted. I wanted her to approve of me. Let's say you're really a creative person, but your family's like, oh, you need to be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, because their mind is super boxed in and they're obsessed with security over love, really, ultimately, and freedom. But that's a very traditional mindset. So if you're playing by their game, if you're playing small, then you're going to be suppressed and you're never going to live your potential. You're never going to live the dreams and the life that you were born to live. So sometimes we don't even know what we want or who we are because we've just been listening to these voices. I did this until I was about 24 years old, and part of it was because I believed that God's will was obedience to your parents. And I took that, people have different perspectives on this, which I think is really interesting. Some people are like, hey, yes it is until I'm 18, or yes it is until I'm 21, or yes it is until I'm married, which is a more traditional role where you're kind of under your father's protection until you transfer over into being under your husband's protection. So there's different perspectives, and I think that that's important to note that there are different perspectives. But unfortunately, what this can sometimes cause is an inability to think for yourself, an inability to know what your feelings are, what your desires are, what your thoughts are, what your opinions are, because you're just taking another person's thoughts, desires, and opinions and perspectives as your own. It's what's sculpting and guiding your life and your journey. And so sometimes we don't even know what we want. And we have these institutions that tell us what we should be, and our churches or religion or family structures, and they tell you what to be, and so that's what you try to become. And sometimes their vision for you isn't actually who you are, and it's not actually what you were meant to do and what you were set out for in this world. But you're loyal to the extreme because you believe that that's what you should or what you ought to do, what you should or ought be. So there's this sense of moral obligation that's constraining you down to this box and to this model. And you never stop to discover and decide who you were. And that process of exploration can be scary because you're leaving behind the known and you're stepping out and into the unknown. And that takes bravery, risk, action, faith, commitment to authenticity. One of my favorite affirmations that I learned recently from, I'll give credit to Jenna Phillips-Ballard for this. And I've slightly edited it for myself, but the base idea came from her. And that is, my commitment to freedom is more powerful than fear. So when I'm stepping into a situation where I know who I am and I know what I want, because I've gone through some of that process of exploration, but you can't really do that until you give yourself permission, until you surrender, until you give yourself permission to let go and to release. And that's when you begin the journey to find yourself. But obviously you already are there inside. It's just a matter of allowing yourself to be. So it's a process. It's a journey, right? It's not something that's super cut and dry, and it looks different for everyone. But okay, so let's say I'm in the park and I'm like, I feel the groove, I'm gonna dance. And sometimes I get afraid. And so I use that affirmation to remind myself that my commitment to freedom is more powerful than fear. And so, therefore, I choose freedom. Because in every situation, we have the option to choose love or fear. We have the possibility to choose liberty or limitation. To be big and loud and all that we are, or to play small and to hide ourselves out of fear of rejection, disapproval, misunderstanding, judgment, all of that potentially negative stuff. And I'll tell you that there's a bit of uncomfortability in both. There's an uncomfortability in being suppressed and limited and knowing that you're meant for more, but not allowing yourself to do that and being stuck. There's a lot of uncomfortability and pain in that scenario. Then there's uncomfortability in actually cracking out of that cocoon and taking some new chances and trying things, right? But I will tell you that that uncomfortability, at least it leads to something that will bring you lasting happiness and fulfillment. See, this uncomfortability is a dead-end job. It's slaving away at something that you hate, isn't fulfilling, won't bring you joy, and it's tearing you apart inside. This uncomfortability, it's like, oh, gotta get out. It's scary. But you're on your journey to freedom, so it's worth it. It's uncomfortability that's purposeful and it leads to something. It's like stretching. It's actually good for your muscles. Yay! All right, that's all for this video. If you're watching on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. I've got more videos coming out almost every day or every week. And thank you so much for watching. Of course, you're always welcome to comment below. I love to interact with you. Bye.